Ralph is here, though, to talk to us about Crete, because in Crete, they've had rather an interesting experiment. What they've done is they've told all the illegal migrants, if you come here illegally, we will put you straight into a detention centre. We will then pack you back onto a boat and take you back to North Africa. You will never, ever find yourself living as a free man or woman in Greece. And I think it seems to be working. Ralph, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. I hope you can hear me. I'm in a hotel, so I hope the audio is as reliable as it should be.
Yeah, you are absolutely coming over loud and clear. I don't know if it's a migrant hotel, but, you know, in which case you'll be getting all your free food and your lodging and all the rest of it. Greece have finally managed to show the rest of Europe how to do it, by the looks of it, right?
Well, there's an old saying we have in German, what we call the normative power of facts. And what happened in Greece, particularly in Crete, they had an increase in illegal migration between 2024 and 2025 of 350%, because the Italians closed down their routes with a deal they made with one of the regimes in Libya. So like in a game of whack-a-mole, they just moved on from the Italian route now to the Crete route.
Yeah.
And now the Greeks are up to do something, and you're absolutely right. They decided for what on the surface looks like a rather harsh method, but they have no choice. I mean, the local government in Crete correctly said, we have 4 million tourists come every year. We live off this. Like, this is our economic lifeline. Crete would be dead without tourists. And to say, if we have up to 9,000 migrants coming on shore every day, understandably, people are going to leave. So it's either illegal immigrants or tourists. And completely understandable, right? The Greeks, or the Cretes in this case, opted for tourism, which is their very right. These people, just to be very clear, because the same goes on in the UK, the native populations of the European countries also have a right to economic prosperity and to be the makers of their own destinies. Right. I think what the Greeks are doing was long overdue. And I think we're going to see similar things in other European countries in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely right. Because I read a piece in The Sun, I think it was this week. They sent a reporter out there and they said that they'd actually had no boat landings in the entire previous week from when they used to get loads. They used to get dozens and dozens, you know, every single day. They now don't get any.
Yeah, this is, remember during the first Trump campaign when people said, oh, if you build a 20-foot wall, then somebody will have a 30-foot ladder. Walls don't help. Border controls don't help. People will always find a way, yada, yada, yada. Of course it helps. As you just said, if you signal to people and demonstrate that if you come to Crete, if you come, doesn't matter what the place is, you will be detained and then brought back. At some point, people will stop coming, right? Because you create the right incentive structures. The problem is, and this is the same issue as in the UK, of course, immediately all these human rights lawyers, these NGOs, the entire cottage industry that has been built around the topic of migration jumped into action. I mean, this is the other issue here. There are people who make a very good living of being advocates for mass migration. So their economic interest is quite on the forefront compared to the guy who owns a small hotel in Crete.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we've had Amnesty International already been critical of this government's policy, which is the one in, one out policy, which is actually not a decent immigration policy at all, because what it means is you actually still get, net more people in the country, whereas the Greek method is to stop them coming in altogether, and that's surely the only way to solve this problem.
No, you're absolutely right, and we should not forget, whether it's Amnesty International or even the European Convention on Human Rights, these were inventions that started in the 1950s and were designed for the Cold War scenario. But you talked about, Alexander Solzhenitsyn's trying to come to the West. You talked about Hungarians fleeing to Austria. Yeah. So this was a very, very clear purpose. This purpose is lost, so they are now desperately searching for ways to keep themselves relevant and now have become mass migration advocates. Yeah. But all these frameworks, legally, institutionally, they are no longer up to the task. Right? This idea that human rights is basically now code for mass migration. I'm very sorry. If you look at every single ruling over the last 24 months by the European courts, by the European Court of Human Rights, it's pretty much all pro-mass migration.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know. It's got to stop. I mean, it's almost as though somebody's engineered it. Listen, Ralph, great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Ralph Scholhammer there.